The Monty and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
And Abe will pop up the picture. So at some point, Greg Valentine's there. And so if everybody remembers, I don't know if everybody knows the story, so I'll say it pretty quickly, right? We had the great Missy Beefcake on before she was on doing her own show. And, she's got some medical issues, and that's why we haven't seen her.
Right.
She had a lot to say in retaliation to Greg the Hammer Valentine's C-word comments on WSI. And when that video went up, Jimmy was still trying to settle down in Florida, so I called Jimmy about it. But, my phone was ringing off the hook, right? First, it was Brutus Beefcake's ex-wife was calling me, and then the point where Greg Valentine and his present wife are calling me. And, it was basically like, why did you have her on your show? Take those videos down. And the conversation was pretty back and forth, right? Because, again, never again will last Thursday night happen. And I told Greg Valentine, I said, you said the C word. To her, she retaliated. I said, do you call the kid from WSI and ask him to take the video down? No, right? So what are you calling me for? Well, right. I thought we were better friends, and, and I'm like, I really know you, bro. You know what I mean? I don't know you. I mean, I'm being serious. So anyway, my concern for Jimmy was I knew Valentine was there. So I'm going to pan the baton to Jimmy. My fear was Jimmy was going to get the wrath of the Monty and the Pharaoh Show from the Hammer. Jimmy?
Right. Who also happens to be my all-time favorite wrestler. Let's
Absolutely.
not forget that part.
Yes.
Right. So the story that Mike just told you, I can tell everybody sitting at home watching the show tonight that made me squirm like a worm. Okay? I was one of the most uncomfortable things going, oh, crap, we're engaging in words with Greg. God damn it. Like right away. That's how I felt about it. Like, pretty much. Okay? So Greg was nearby our table at the gathering. And there were several times, and even Andrew commented, because Andrew's been very close with Greg in the past too, Andrew Anderson, that he doesn't even get to talk to Greg nowadays because of certain restrictions coming from above. I'll leave it at that, But Karen, to her credit,
by the way, for Jimmy doesn't want to say it, but I'll say it from the wife. But go ahead.
Thank you, Karen. Walked over because she's known Greg forever. They're good friends. And she said, whatever she said, because I've never asked her word for word of what she said to Greg. But the next thing I know, because, I've just figured, let her do her thing and we'll see what happens. And obviously her thing worked because she said Greg wants to say hello. So I walk over to Greg and on the inside, I'm going, oh, my God, here we go. And Greg was so friendly and he was like, if I can, imitation is the best form of flattery. He looks at me, he goes, Pharaoh, I'm not mad at you. Missy's a fucking bitch, and that's the way it is. And he goes, but I'm not mad at you. He goes, of course I remember the show, and I remember, coming on those couple of times and eating Mexican and stuff. Greg was a real sweetheart to me, and I really did appreciate that.
And by the way, Greg Valentine is a good guy. Okay,
I love Greg Valentine.
Let's make that unclear. Business is business with me, right? We give people the right to speak. He didn't like what she had to say. He tried to leverage us, the show, and use our business relationship.
Unfortunately, that's I understand.
Which doesn't fly with me, right? It's just not going to fly.
No, it didn't fly. Mike, it didn't fly with me either. I'm sure you remember me agreeing with you.
Absolutely.
It didn't fly with me either, but it was still I grew up watching Greg Valentine, oh, fuck moment for me.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Fuck. I mean, we can tell both sides of the coin and have it be the full coin.
So
and that's the deal.
Now,
wonderful.
If you thought Valentine was an uncomfortable situation, I was worried about Jimmy because Jimmy was in a foreign land. This was, a lot of things. I'm not going to say Jimmy doesn't want to do, but Jimmy is
on
a kinder
on a
soul than I am in many cases.
On a social level, you're right, Mike. I was in a foreign land because, believe it or not, Mike knows this to be true. Outside of when I perform on the show or when I perform with a band or whatever, I'm pretty private.
Yeah.
I really am. I'm very, very private. So this was that. But coming from a wrestling thing and expecting nothing, I belonged. And that was the best part of these 4 days, was realizing that, was like, wow, Mike, you and I have done some good things with this show, because the response to me being there was very surprising. I was very surprised by it.
Which is